I used to think that Taylor Swift was America's sweetheart, the girl that could really do no wrong. She was the quintessential image of what it was to be all Americana, the girl next door, right? Precious little victim. Oh, Taylor, Taylor, Taylor. Now, as an adult, I've come to realize that Taylor Swift is bad for your mental health. Now, sometimes she allows you to shake it off, right? You have a little fun. Sometimes you're going to shake, 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 shake. And sometimes you can be motivated and inspired. But in more cases than not, what I have observed throughout the years is that Taylor Swift has built her entire career as a songwriter first, because she is a writer and she is pretty good at writing those catchy tunes or co-writing those tunes with a lot of other very talented individuals. I would never take that away from her. She's also extremely hardworking and she's earned what she has. I'm not going to take that away, but I am going to say this. Her career has been built upon the victim mentality. It seems that with every project, we have the same regressive message of I got into a relationship, somehow happenstance, right? It's like these people are just appearing in her life. She has no choice. She did not choose them. She just ends up in a relationship, falls head over heels in love, and then these terrible, narcissistic a-holes, bad boys, whatever it is, treat her so terribly. And she is just the biggest victim. And look what everybody else, look what you made me do is a literal Taylor Swift anthem. Look what you made me do. Excuse me? If somebody came to me and said, hey, look what you made me do, I would look at them 10 ways till Tuesday. Crazy. Just what? How can I make you do something? That is your flesh of your flesh, your bone of your bone. I can't make you do something. Now, maybe I persuaded you, I influenced you, and you made yourself open to that susceptibility. But I made you do that? Like, if I was one of Taylor's exes, I would have to drop an entire 3 series, a duplex, a compilation project. You understand me? I would have to do the trilogy. I would have to explain the whole story, say, wait a minute. Now, when we met, you were coming on to me like I was coming on. You wanted like I wanted. And then all of a sudden we got in. I didn't just fall into your life and all of a sudden I entrapped you and then I'm just some narcissist. What about my side of the story? The biggest problem I have is the perpetuation of a victim story. And I know there are little girls, young women who are listening to this, absorbing this way of being. I have a lot of criticisms when it comes to where hip hop music or rap has gotten, right? And it's at detrimental effects on the psyche of anybody who's listening, let alone the kids. I have my criticisms around, the streetwalker 304 culture that's being pushed, as far as imagery goes with women, the nakedness of things, right? I talk about that quite frequently. But something I don't get enough into is this kind of covert narcissistic messaging. You find it in R&B music. You find it in heartbreak music. It's the woe is me. You made me do it. You are the problem. And with Taylor Swift's platform, again, she has worked for it. She's built it. She's done whatever was necessary to get to where she is. I'm not going to make any speculations of Illuminati or whatever it is. Okay. I'm not that person. I want you to be as successful as you can humanly be in your gifting. But I have to point to the fact that I believe a lot of that Taylor Swift is an image. It is a caricature. It is not real. I'm not saying that some of her actually doesn't show up in her music or whatever, but the tendencies that I have seen actually look more like the manipulator, like the quote unquote mean girl, right? Who is willing to use their power and their influence. Don't ever get that twisted. Folks crying about the patriarch. Do you understand the level of power and influence a Taylor Swift has? She has more influence and more power per capita than most presidents on this planet. She has more pull. She has more influence. She has more of a say than most presidents on this planet. If that's not power, I don't know what the hell is. If that's not status and influence, I don't know what is. And so for this very same person who now we have seen getting into controversy after controversy, right? Tied up with different people. That's why when I even heard about the Scooter Braun situation, I said, okay, I can see him being a shady guy, whatever it is, right? But I also remember the galvanizing of Taylor's Swifties to attack, to ridicule, to tear down. And then when the whole Blake Lively thing started unfolding, you start, wait a minute, Khaleesian and the damn dragon, and wait a minute, you're the dragon. So you're using your power to drag this individual. And of course, you know, she's always going to find ways to separate herself. I'm sure she has a powerful legal team. They might even see this video and I might even get some sort of messaging, but I don't give a damn, right? I'll talk about Beyonce with the Beehive. I'll talk about Nicki with her, what are they called? I don't know what the hell they're called. I'll talk about Lady Gaga with her little monsters. And I'll talk about Taylor Swift with her Swifties. Because if you're worshiping a celebrity to begin with, there's an issue there, right? If you're not a 12-year-old girl who's going to get out of that phase, having posters on your wall or the equivalent of that in modern day, if you're not that and you're worshiping these people and you're spending a lifetime defending them, I don't care if it's Michael Jackson, you're still defending some of that behavior, sus. But I had to address this because I thought there was going to be an evolution at some point to say, okay, now the message becomes, you know what? Let me take responsibility. Maybe there are things that I've done in relationship. No, instead, she continues to push the same message. And so we have a generation of young women being raised with that mentality of I'm a victim. Look what you made me do. Everybody's a narcissist. Everybody's a problem. You never introspect. And if you have the inability to go within, to look at what you have done to create the circumstances in your life, you create a powerless dynamic for yourself. You are essentially, you manipulate your way through life. Like, there's already the part of you're going to suffer. You stay in a perpetual stuckness, in a perpetual adolescence per se, the Peter Pan sort of syndrome. You're forever a child. But there's also the danger towards the people around you, where you actually become a dangerous person, right? You become a coverted narcissist. The world revolves around you, right? People are supposed to essentially pander to you, and when they don't, you're the person who cries those manipulative crocodile tears. You know, some of y'all have probably been in a relationship, whether it was intimate relationship or friendship or something of that nature, with somebody who's so deeply manipulative, somebody who will always play the victim card. You're seeing them creating problems in their own life, and yet they continue to point to everybody else as the reason why they're going through what they're going through. That sort of individual, that sort of personality archetype is a dangerous person. And I say they're just as, if not more dangerous than the overt narcissist. Not saying that they're not capable, of the same damage. But the reason that they are dangerous, more so than not, or even more dangerous, is because you feel bad for them. You feel sorry for them. You make space for them. You walk on eggshells on their behalf. These sorts of individuals, the same thing that social media has sparked within young women and even young men, this perpetual need for attention, this insatiable desire to be seen, like, please like me, please like me, please like me. Do you see me? Do you see? I'll post anything. I'll post my rear end if I got to, just so I can be seen, acknowledged, and just so I could be liked. You're not loved, but you're liked. You're not loved, but you're paid attention to, right? The same way that social media has been a forest fire, or has been a fuel to the forest fire, that is that epidemic. We have the Taylor Swifts of the world, and she's the poster child. I know I'm pointing at her, but she is the largest platform that is delivering this message. And this ain't a message of do or do not listen to a person, but I have to speak on these things. Like, we can't just continue to pretend like, oh, this is just such innocent, the messages are just so wholesome, etc. The messages, if maybe in isolation, you could say, okay, you know what? This song right here is about heartbreak. This one right here is about falling in love. This one right here is about family. This right here is about childhood and when I went through boom, boom, boom. But when project after project, you're almost using them as weapons, right? Imagine being the person on the other side of that relationship. And I want to take it out of the context of male female because sometimes we can tend to lean towards our own gender, just have like a preference in the gender, just even subconsciously. Imagine having your ex, who is known by the world, write a book about you that everybody reads and they're now all against you. Well, that has happened time after time after time. The weaponization of emotionality, of the weaponization of pity, of woe is me. And I'm allergic to the victim mentality. That's why I speak on things such as, overcoming this obsession with the isms, right? Racism, sexism, homophobia, this, that. The obsession with being a victim will keep you in a perpetual loop in your life. You will live Groundhog's Day, except nothing really changes and there's no way out of it. Well, I mean, the only way out technically is to finally start taking accountability or responsibility. But when people feed into that, it becomes even more dangerous. And when you're catapulted you're rewarded for it, you're put on a pedestal for it, that is extremely dangerous. Taylor Swift is not the nice girl. She's not. She's not the sweet little wholesome girl. Maybe she was at some point. But there was a turning point, or maybe she always was this. It's just it's defense mechanisms. When you develop these narcissistic tendencies, they are coping defense mechanisms, way to get attention, ways to siphon narcissistic supply from individuals. So the bigger the crowd, the more supply they're giving you, the more you're going to perpetuate the very same thing. Look at everybody has done me wrong. That's the story of Taylor Swift. Everybody did me wrong. Look what happened to me here. Look what happened to me here. My masters were taken. My friends turned on me. Every man that's been in my life has been terrible. And I think to myself, you've been through 20 relationships and none of them have worked out. Sis, there has to be introspection. There's no way you can get into 20 relationships and you are responsible for 0 of their outcomes. There's no way. There's no way that you found yourself in relationship with 20 narcissists who broke your heart and you did nothing. I'm sorry. Unless you are a genuine narcissistic magnet, which means that you are attracted to narcissists. It means that you have some part in you that is drawn to that aspect. You're a codependent, you're a people pleaser, or you're a damn narc yourself. There's something there that you are drawn to that keeps you tethered to that relationship dynamic. And if that be the case, then let's do the work. But if you can never face it and you stay in this proverbial lifelong adolescence, right? I remember somebody doing an essay on Taylor Swift and Drake and how there's this they didn't call it the Peter Pan syndrome, but in essence, that's what it is, right? This regressive way of living. You're now 30 whole years old, maybe 30 plus, I don't know. In Drake's case, older than 30, and you're still at the place of boo-hoo, look at me, look what happened to me, look at all these terrible people that did all these terrible things to me. I'm so innocent, I'm so fragile, I'm just a baby. Are you kidding me? I know I'm going off. No. I got time today. Right? Because again, when a message is pervasive and it becomes glorified, glamorized, pedestalized, whatever, right? Normalized even. That's problematic. When these types of messages become the norm, then we have a culture that normalizes them, right? There was a time where wearing damn near lingerie in public, which is what a bikini is, right? Before a male created that bikini, actually. There was bathing suits. So even at the ocean, there was a level of decor, demure, class, modesty. Then all of a sudden, a dude stepped in and he said, you know what? Let's just cover the titis and the tata, right? And then let's just put a string up the crack. Let's just put a string up the middle. That's it. You know what I mean? I wonder who he was selling that to. They say that he couldn't even get everyday women to pose with the outfit or with the bikinis on. He had to get streetwalkers, genuine professional 304s to model that attire. because it was so controversial. Fast forward 60, 50, whatever it is years later, and you got everybody on the beach, buckets nakeds. You got people on the internet, clothingless. You have young ladies, well, I can't even use the word ladies, that's one reserved. You have young women, girls, who are putting their whole entire everything out there for $9.99 on OF. And that's normalized. That's what happens with the normalization of something, right? So it may seem like I'm harping on a point or whatever it is, but when you start to see the social effects of it at a scale level, when you start to have a generation of people who are victim-minded, woe is me, that's how you get this woke ideology. That's how you start getting this faux activism, right? Everything is a battle to be fought. The world is against me. It's racism, the patriarchy, the matriarchy, the this, the that. It's flanking on all sides. You catastrophize everything. You live in a victim mentality. And those girls who are receiving the message, because Taylor's just making what she believes her audience wants to hear or what they're used to hearing, right? She won't challenge her audience in any sort of way. That audience is not going to have the same experience she does. They're not going to be a multi-billion-dollar brand who has all the resources in the world to her, essentially tomorrow can get in a relationship with whoever she wants. Like, it's not going to be that for them. For a majority of them who are going to grow up on that music, they're just going to become, essentially miserable, dare I say, cat ladies. And there's a little kitty cat, standing right there. Cute as can be. Nothing wrong with a cat. Love me a cat, but... And by the way, no, the cat does not walk all up in the kitchen, all up on the counters, licking food. Somebody said that on some comment in one of the live chats. And I was like, hey. No. That's not what that is. That's not what that is. Not in this household. Not in anybody that I know personally's household. We're not about to do that. Absolutely not. That's reserved for a very specific demographic of individuals. I'm sure you know who that is. We don't do that in this household. But I digress. These young women who are raised on this message, or even young men, with the woe is me, the world is against me, and I'm having to basically always be on guard, in essence, as opposed to truly, genuinely being empowered, which means taking responsibility. It's really that simple. Some folks say, oh, you never come up with solutions. The solution is always the same. It's always going to be the same. You have to look at a situation and say, what did I contribute? And if you don't have control over certain aspects, you have to learn to make peace with those, or likely there are things that you can actually change, right? Oh, I hate my job. Oh, my boss is terrible. Oh, my coworkers suck. Okay, great. Are you forced to be on that job? Likelihood is no. Maybe you feel desperate. Maybe you feel I need this check. That's still a choice. So you could say, I'm going to choose to either feel different about the job, or I'm going to choose to be in another job or create a job for myself. When I hated corporate and being in that space, oh, my boss is this, he blows a gasket, he's an angry individual, puts his pain onto everybody else, projects his shit onto everybody else, woo, woo, woo. Oh, my coworkers. Okay, then what are you going to do about it? Because nobody put the blammer to your head and make you get the job. You got it because you said that you needed the check to take care of your bills. So what are we going to do about it? You know what? I don't want to be here for the next 5, 10, 15 years. I want to create my own destiny. You know what? Let me build out my own thing. Let me create content. Let me speak on the things that I'm most passionate about. Let me build this thing out. I don't care how long it takes me. I'm just going to give myself over to what is mine to do. That is responsibility, right? I responded to the situation as opposed to reacting to it. And a lot of folks have this Taylor Swift mentality where life is just one big reaction, right? You're just in awe. And again, a lot of folks would be surprised. She's a consummate business person. A consummate business person. She's a multi-billion-dollar brand. She is worth more as an individual than at least 80% of businesses that exist on this planet. As an individual, she is a multi-billion-dollar brand. And y'all think she's really in there sobbing over, woe is me, this man, that. No, I believe that it is being used at this point. I believe she is using that. And because she's using that as a means to, continue to get the same audience, like Future, he said that he didn't even do most of the dope that he sings about or raps about. He said he just says that because there's people who do those things, and he wants to essentially have them consume his music, which is, I believe, a vile thing to do, because the promotion of something is the normalization of it. The promotion of something is the egging on of that thing. Simple. If you have a voice and you speak on something and you give that thing legs, I guess you would say. If you give that thing life, then you are responsible for those who then fall into that influence. Now, they have a personal decision to make whether or not they're going to listen, they're going to be influenceable. But nevertheless, you are using your God-given gift to disempower those around you. And that's my biggest problem. That's with every person in every walk of life who has any level of influence, whether you are a parent in a household with one child, or you're on a stage in front of millions, or you have a platform where billions of people have access to your message. And that's a responsibility I hold for life. I know that whatever I say is going to be kept in the book. It's going to be kept in that book. Every word I utter is going to be kept, recorded. It's going to live forever. And so do I stand behind this? There's many things that I regret saying, and I refute those things. When I learned something new, when I realized that I wasn't being an idiot and I was on the wrong path, then I switch course. But I would never continue going on a path that is inauthentic and that is genuinely destructive for the simple basis of continue to make the same profit. I actually believe you would have more of an appeal if you did the opposite. That's one thing I can say about Kendrick and Drake, though, a lot of Kendrick's messaging now, when I look back, I don't resonate with most of it. I don't resonate with, with the To Pimp a Butterfly messaging. A lot of it I don't. I believe that it is just pulling us back into the past when we could be moving forward. Now, I love a lot of his other music, straight up. I grew up on a lot of his music, which is weird to say. But yeah, last 15 years or so, I've listened from Section 80, etc. But even overly dedicated, that's crazy. That image just popped up in my head of that project. But that's the difference between these two individuals. One chooses to evolve, and they get even bigger than before. The other regresses into the adolescence, into the childhood stage or the childish sort of messaging, and stays the same and then begins to decline. And I believe that's the law of physics, right? It's a law of atrophy. If you leave something and don't continue to tend for it, care for it, it's going to decay. It's going to go into chaos. If you continue to spew the very same messaging, I believe if Taylor grew up with her audience, there wouldn't be the backlash that's not taking place. And she'll be fine. She'll continue to make hundreds of millions of dollars. But, when you have that decline that happens, it's because of a lack of an evolution. And that's the inauthenticity of being human. Every human must have, at some point, a coming back to self to say, you know what? I was a child. I did as a child did. I am now, hopefully, an adult, and I'm going to do as an adult does, which is to take as many responsibilities onto my plate as possible and to view life from that perspective as opposed to I am a victim as a child would.
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a hardening heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising. They see your light shine, that's why they so frustrated. Even the sofa in Nova Scotia will win the bagels. I couldn't get them ease on the grease, why they burning up? Money growing trees, feel a breeze, still you show.